Have you ever read a dirty book? I have, and I found a favorite author. Hi everyone, my name is Marilyn Maya, and I'm here today to talk about 3 perfect books. So what's a perfect book? It's different for everyone, right? And I'm so happy because I found by accident 3 perfect books that I want to talk about. So what's the dirty books about? Yeah, it's not dirty in the way that some people might think dirty. I went to a library sale last year and everything was, I wasn't finding what I usually wanted to find, but I found this dirty book. Dirty in the sense that it's falling apart, it's yellow, I don't know, I just don't like to read dirty books. I tend to take some alcohol. Maybe it's just the COVID thing, but I take some alcohol and I wash it, but then you still have to touch the dusty pages and everything is actually falling apart. But I paid $2 and that's pretty a lot for a library book because I heard about the Georges Simenon books of Inspector Maigret, and even though I like mysteries, I just thought it's not for me, and also I didn't want to read a dirty book. Well, I'm glad I did because I found a favorite author. Okay, so what is this about? In English, it's called Maigret Mystified. And this was one of his earlier novels, published in 1932. Probably taking place like even maybe 29, 30. So I love that that time period. And of course it takes place in Paris. I don't know if all of his novels take place in Paris, but this one does. And it takes place in one of my favorite squares, the Place des Vosges. And it's just a very special square. And in this square is an apartment building. I don't think there's really an apartment building in the Place des Vosges right now. I could be wrong. But it starts with the concierge, or caretaker, I guess, of the apartment building, and she calls up Maigret, and she says that, please come right away. And he says, is there a crime? And she can't talk because somebody in the building is giving birth, and she's a delicate woman, and she doesn't want to make her upset, during giving birth. So he goes, and there's a man dead. And it says here that Monsieur Couchet had been shot dead in an armchair in the office of his pharmaceutical firm, adjoining a block of flats in the quiet Place des Vosges. It was nearing midnight, and 300,000 francs were missing. Since the chair was still jammed against the safe, theft must have preceded murder. I'm not going to go into the mystery itself. The plot is very good, but that's not what made me keep reading, because I've read mysteries with very good plots before. But the characters, so realistic, so unusual, each one different, and the time period, a time period in 1930 maybe wouldn't be as, talking about this, he has a mistress and that guy has a mistress, things like that, and there are so many wonderful characters in this book. A young girl who was involved with the murdered guy. And he was married, but she lives in the Place Pigalle, so it's like everybody knows what kind of girl she was, but she really wasn't that kind of girl. She had substance to her, and I love the way that was brought out. Maybe this is one of his earlier novels. Maybe the ending could have been a little better, but I am definitely going to keep up with, if this is dirty reading, well, I have a few others and a lot on Kindle, so I'm definitely, for me, this is a perfect book because it's literary mystery, and it's very hard to find that now. There's a ton of French, modern. She's a modern literary mystery writer, and then of course there's Agatha Christie. But I found someone new just by reading a dirty book. Okay, what are my other 3 perfect books? Okay, now this one I gave up. I actually DNF'd this book, and it's by Anita Brookner, and it's her debut novel, and it's called A Start in Life. And in French, and she writes a lot of words in French, un début dans la vie, and that's what a start in life means. It's also a start in life. Un début dans la vie is a book by Honoré de Balzac, and that has a big, it's a big plot point in the book. But okay, so why did I DNF it? Yeah, it's kind of dirty. I bought this though. It's a little worn out, but that wasn't the reason that I DNF'd it. The reason I DNF'd it is because the beginning of the book was people love this the first sentence. Dr. Weiss at 40 knew that her life had been ruined by literature. So the book uses literary devices, and the literary device in this book is exaggeration. So sort of a subheading of satire. And in the beginning, the way her family is described was a little clownish, cartoonish, and wasn't really getting to me. It wasn't resonating with me, but I don't know why. I picked it up again, and oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. And this is Anita Brookner's first novel, so it's also her debut. And debuts can be kind of rough. And maybe this is not her best book, but she made me laugh. I love books that made me laugh. Let me just give you a little, like I said, the characters are quite cartoonish. And the main character, and there's a couple of main characters, but the main character is the young girl, Ruth. And her father is Jewish. Her mother was an actress, non-Jewish, sometimes uses anti-Semitic words that kind of go over her, she doesn't realize what she's doing. So it says in the back that since childhood, Ruth Weiss has been escaping from life into books. Can you relate? I can. From the hothouse attentions of her larger-than-life parents and into the gentle warmth of lovers and friends. I'm not gonna, because I talked about, the beginning. Okay, so her mother, she's a character, all right. She's like a has-been actress, and it's really put into a lot of satire. So she sort of like stays in bed most of the time, toward the middle of the book, and has people wait hand and foot on her, and Ruth wants her to go on vacation. So she knows this, one of her old friends, the actress's old friends, was a Christian Scientist and lives, on a small pension by the sea. So Ruth thinks it's a good idea. Let them get out. They'll do well by the sea. Anyway, this lady who's a Christian Scientist, she's very poor. So her house has a lot of furniture. Nobody wants it. And she has to put this very pampered ex-actress in the dining room So this part made me crack up. So there's an expletive, and exploded Helen. Helen is the actress. What do you want a dining room for, Molly? You can eat a nut cutlet or whatever it is that you eat off a tray. I just cracked up because the woman is a vegetarian. And the way they make fun of Molly, you know, is Molly is the Christian Scientist. I thought that was, and there's funny lines like this all through the book. I give this a 5-star, as I give Maigret Mystified 5 stars, because even if they're not perfect books, they're perfect for me. Okay, so what's the third perfect book that I found by reading a dirty book? And this one was a library book, and I had it, and I had known a little bit about it. It's a Barbara Pym. Now, Barbara Pym, this is her 7th novel, and I love Barbara Pym. I want to read everything she ever wrote. High comedy, Vickers, excellent women. You get the drift, right? But this book was not, she was 50 when she wrote it, and it was the only book that wasn't accepted by her publisher. She was really hurt. She was very hurt. She gave up writing for 15 years because it was not accepted by her publisher. And I don't know if this could have used a little bit of editing, maybe. I'm not sure how it was brought about that it was republished, if somebody worked on it, but she kept on working on it, on and off. And maybe the term unsuitable attachment was mentioned too much in the book. That's the only criticism I have of the book. So what is it about? It's set in St. Basil, or Basil, I don't know, I think Basil, an undistinguished North London parish. It's full of the high comedy that I was talking about, for which Barbara Pym is famous for, right? And so there's the vicar, Mark Anger, who introduces his sermons with remarks like, those of you who are familiar with the Church of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. Of course, his parish, they don't go to Rome. But then, you know, they're used to him, you know, and he tells good stories. He's a good guy. And his wife is a very unusual person. His wife, she doesn't have children, but she has a cat. Her name is Sophia, not the cat. But they don't have children, and she got very attached to her cat. And so one of the lines she says is, I feel sometimes that I can't reach Faustina as I've reached other cats. That's kind of funny. So then we have other people, and they're not looking for suitable attachments, but they're finding unsuitable attachments. So there's Rupert Stonebird, an anthropologist, an eligible bachelor, well-bred Eon Broom, Eonth, I never heard that name before, who works at the library and forms an unsuitable attachment with the young man there. And then there's the chief librarian. I mean, he's gay, has a sharp tongue, and complains that when books have things spilt on them, it's always bottled gravy of the thickest and most repellent kind, rather than something utterly exquisite and delicious. And of course, there's the vet's sister, another obsessional cat person, and Sister Dew, who bears a strong resemblance to Sister Black, if you read Excellent Women. It was a romp, it was funny. They end up going to Rome, which was just extra in it. And I'll just read you a little bit of the part about Rome. That, in fact, the vicar is going to take them on sort of like a tour of Rome. So Mervyn is the librarian. So Rome, you're welcome to it as far as I'm concerned. said Mervyn spitefully the day before Ianthe was due to leave with a party from St. Basil's. But Rome in the spring, surely that will be lovely, John protested. It's not like Paris, you know. I believe it can be uncomfortably hot, and I'm sure you won't like the food. All that cannelloni, or all those cannelloni, I should say, very much overrated. Perhaps Ianthe will stick to spaghetti and ravioli, said John, mentioning the better-known varieties of pasta, which English people would probably be familiar with in tinned form. Grated cheese on everything, Mervyn went on. Though it is Parmesan, I'll grant you that. Mother would find it much too rich, I know. Well, it's a good thing she isn't going, said John. And is that not delightful? Come on, come on. So I want to buy my own copy of this book, because I have to say that despite the little things that I mentioned, it's one of my favorites so far of Barbara Pym's books, and I plan to read her whole oeuvre. So, do you read dirty books? Let me know down in the comments, and tell me the dirtiest book that you've read, or didn't read, DNF'd, or maybe bought in another form. I'm not going to buy Maigret in another form, because someone has very generously gave me a lot of Kindle books that I can read, and I won't be worried about getting dirty. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and leave comments below. I want to hear what you think of reading dirty books, or even finding the perfect book. What is the perfect book that you found? Let me know, because I'll continue to read dirty books if I find favorite authors. Until next time, until I see you in my next video, I wish you all good health, happiness, and of course, aloha.